This is A Note to Future Me. Hi, this is Brett Johnson, your host and the owner of Circle 270 Media Podcast Consultants. I occasionally like to go through podcast Facebook groups and save posts that have interesting questions and then go back over time 2, 3, 4 weeks later to see all the comments. And this post from a few months ago was asking the question, what was the worst advice given to you as a podcaster? The answers were really insightful and contradictory. And I think a lot of it comes back down to the focus of your podcast. What do you want to accomplish? And as I read through these comments, you'll see the contradictions. Audio quality, isn't that important? You should use your platform to discuss important issues. All that did was create a ton of stress and put strain on my friendships. Lesson learned, don't let anyone control your content. Can't agree more with that. Yes, you're doing the podcast for yourself. Nobody listens to podcasts. You should do video instead. You have a sports podcast? Make it feel like two guys hanging out in the locker room. Podcasting is easy. There's too many podcasts out there. Another one, keeping your consistent schedule is the most important thing. Well, he also adds, I published an incomplete episode once because I wanted to stay on track with my schedules. I later pulled the episode and finished it. I apologized to my audience and dropped a double episode the next upload. They really appreciated it. Quality over everything else. Good for you. As long as you have great content and intriguing thoughts, people will listen. You don't need good sound quality. Use your family and friends to publicize your podcast at the beginning. To send money to a guy in India who promises he'll get us a new audience. Yes, if you've not run across those types of emails stating we can help you get a bigger audience, we've done it. Plenty of examples of that going wrong, as well as some people going a bit further with it and actually engaging with them and asking them specifically what podcasts did they help and how are they doing it. And it turns out it's just a money grab. You have to monetize. Stay in your lane. Drop your links. Yeah, that's a good one. And when you see that posted in any Facebook group, drop your links will help you promote. That's pretty much a phishing scam. They want to know who's active and go after you and basically scrape the RSS feed and get your email address and start pounding you for their services. Like, we'll get you a new audience. Wait until you have all the professional gear. Another one, in 2004, I wanted to do a podcast featuring stand-up comedians at the Improv theaters in Southern California. I talked to the Improv, comedians, promoters, etc. All said either, what's a podcast? Or that'll never be anything. Don't waste everyone's time. So he was a bit ahead of his time on that one. Too bad that he didn't follow up. Later on, he commented that he didn't do it because no one was really interested. You need to be getting paid. Stop working for free. This comment came from a family member, according to the person posting it. I didn't like defending my business and brand, but I knew my plan and stayed focused. I got paid when I was ready. Another, Blue Yeti is a good mic. As they continue, the one positive thing Blue Yeti has is its ease of use, plug and play. But as this person who posted also recommended, but I do not ever recommend using a condenser mic. The average podcaster is not in a professional studio, so you should use a dynamic mic. Blue Yeti is grossly overpriced. You can get a better sounding mic for the same price. Totally agree. For X amount of money, I can get you more listeners and likes guaranteed. Back to that person from India or any other country. Could be the United States as well, too, but that phishing scam. You can't be a podcast editor as a real job. That's been nullified. Just fix it in post. Yeah, there are a lot of people that look at it that way. Just get the episode done and we'll take care of it in editing. Your editor will take care of it. There's a lot of prep that goes into doing the episode correctly the first time. You'll be happier with the end results, and your editor will be as well too. Give your editor the best audio that you can. Aim for perfection in your podcast. If you do, you're probably never going to ever make a podcast. You learn as you go. No one wants to hear about the Spanish flu. It's a great example of really diving into a niche and exploding it. Find that unique content that you love to talk about and continue on. Don't let anyone tell you not to do it. Don't take a week off. People will forget about you. Maybe. Probably not, though. Don't put your business on the same site as your podcast and blog. My podcast was the same name and content as my business, which was designed to generate leads for coaching clients. Yeah, that's where you really have to have some focus and clarity on what you want the podcast to do and if it should be on the same site as your business website. There is no right or wrong answer to that. It's what you want to do with it. Why do a podcast if you can reach more people on your radio show? I could have easily posted that, but my background in radio, yes, radio has its place and podcast has its place. Each has its limitations. You have to decide why that podcast is going to do better than being on a radio show. And for me, I would suggest start it as a podcast. Maybe look at radio down the road, but your idea is going to fly much faster as a podcast than it will be on a radio show or a radio station, guaranteed. Edit out all pauses and ums. This person who posted this said, our old editor engineer did this, and it sounded like the most unnatural conversation ever. We have an improv show, so it needs to sound like a natural convo. We edit ourselves now, and I should say we do not edit ourselves. Yes, again, it's that, what do you want your podcast to sound like? And that engineer may not have understood what they wanted to do, possibly, but I agree with that person posting this comment. It's that you don't need to edit out everything, but depending on what your end product needs to be. The only way to be successful is to interview people and have them share with their audience. Yes and no. It can work, but you can't rely on your guest to do the sharing. The heavy lifting is still on you as the podcast host. And I'm going to save the best for last. I love this. To compare and compete with well-funded and traditional giants. Not the way to go. Be unique. That's why there are libraries full of books on the same topics, but each book is different, and so are you. So great comments that were posted. And as I said, a lot of them are contradictory, but they're all true. And I think the big thing is when you're walking into a podcast and you're walking into what you want to do with the podcast, really have that clarity and focus on what you want it to do for you. And all of those comments will take care of themselves. The audio, the content, the sharing, all those things will be answered when you start off on the right foot with clarity. And if you're looking for more tailored help, then be sure to connect with our dedicated team of podcast professionals. We don't give advice. We give direction. We give best practices. We work with our podcasters to get them to where they want to be. We'll help your business create a podcast from planning and launching to editing, presentation skills, promotion, and monetization, if that's what you want to do. Interested in speaking with one of our professionals? We put together a questionnaire to quickly fill out. This will help us help you prior to our first information meeting, which you can schedule when you complete the questionnaire. The link is in the podcast show notes.